One of the things that I want to talk about is something that I think a lot of you have suspected, especially those of you that are parents, that are moms. I have some really, really big news for you. Welcome back to Open Late Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Esfandiary, and this is a very special, very important episode that I have been waiting to share with you all. So, as you know, we are expecting babies very soon. And when I say babies, I mean twins. And that has turned my life upside down and on its head in ways that I could never imagine. And I've grown so much as a woman just by preparing for these sweet, special little beings. And as many of you have seen, if you watch the podcast or you see our content on Instagram, I have been sharing an office with Pasha and recording the podcast from his space because we turned Open Late Studios into the nursery. So I thought it only fitting for this episode to record from what once was Open Late Studios and is now our baby nursery. If you can tell by the wallpaper behind me, we chose animal themed. No, I'm seriously obsessed with this wallpaper. It's from Purr, by the way. I have all things mommy on the brain all the time now, but what I want to do with this episode is celebrate something huge because what came and went last week or 2 weeks ago without me even realizing was the 2-year anniversary of this show. Back in 2021, October 3rd, we launched Open Late Podcast. And with everything that's happening in my life, it came and went and I didn't even celebrate it. So what I want to do is take a moment to acknowledge this fucking show because I think to go 2 years straight recording episodes every single week without missing one, it really takes so much intention, so much dedication, so much care. And I have so many people that help me with the show. And so I want to acknowledge just some highlights because over the last 2 years, I have really interviewed all of the people that I wanted to. When I started this show, I remember there were certain people that I put on my vision board, like Dr. Wednesday Martin and Anne Hottership, and they came on the show. I mean, I have best-selling authors and award-winning sex experts and sex educators to share with you all the true, the real, the no-nonsense stuff about our sexuality, both male, female, everything in between. We've had transgender women on this show. We've had some of my closest friends on this show. And I really just want to acknowledge everyone for being a part of this journey, you included as the audience. I mean, some of my audience members turned into guests like Dennis and Jesse, like Megana, Roxy, Mel and AJ. I mean, to have listeners write in and say, I love your show and I want to share my story too, because I think it could make for a great episode, or I think people could really learn from my experience. I mean, that's truly why I wanted to create this kind of content. To the WhatsApp chat that we have for the last year and a half, where people share their insights and really ask for support, and peer-to-peer people are giving that feedback. They're able to help guide people through really hard experiences when their partners are out on dates for the first time and they don't know what they're going to be going through. I've had my dear friend Irene Morning on the show, who wrote Polyamory Paradox. And I would say that book is hands down one of the most important pieces of literature when it comes to navigating the heart in partnership as you open your relationship. I mean, I feel like we've hit so many beautiful, important milestones. I mean, and to have Wednesday Martin on the show just a few weeks back was my personal highlight, because I really did think like, oh, wow, if I can get Wednesday to come on the show and talk about her book, Untrue, I'll feel like I've really done what I wanted to do. Like, I've checked the box of why I wanted to have this podcast. And of course, I would be totally, out of it if I didn't mention my dearest friends that supported me on this show from the jump who came on the show who have nothing to do with non-monogamy, but people like Steve Cha, Ginger Banks, my dear friend Maria Louisa, who else? Daniela. I've had, Robbie, who helped me launch this show. The show would not be a thing if it were not for Robbie. Leah and Alexis. I mean, so many of my closest friends have come on the show and given perspective on how Pasha and I navigate our relationship, how Lauren and I navigate our relationship. And I think those have been some of your favorite episodes. And so it's been a blast. And I've learned and I've grown so, so much by doing this. And of course, I want to chat a little bit about the loves of my life, Lo and Pasha, who have come on the show multiple times to share their journey individually and in relationship with me, and be really honest about what it's been like to be in a triad, what it's been like to navigate the sort of dismantling of the romantic components of that triad. Lauren falling in love with her partner now, and how, we're navigating that space as best friends, and what all of these people will show up as and who they'll show up as in our lives as we step into this next chapter, which is parenthood. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is something that I think a lot of you have suspected, especially those of you that are parents, that are moms. I have some really, really big news for you. I will be taking a maternity leave from this show. And I don't even know how long that's going to be or what that's going to look like. I'm guessing that it will be at least 6 months. And the decision was not an easy one in the beginning, but the closer I get to the birth of my babies, the more clear it becomes that I want to focus solely on motherhood. If you've been listening to the show from the beginning, you know that I used to lead ceremonies and sound meditations. And almost a year ago, I stopped doing that work so I could focus solely on this show and bringing you the best guests and bringing you the most interesting and truthful content around non-monogamy, polyamory, relationships in general. And I am a relationship junkie. And I know that the relationship that I have to my son and daughter will be the most important. And I don't know if y'all know anything about twins, but I'm pretty sure I will not have time for anything else in my life, truthfully, especially for the first 6 months. So it is with a little bit of sadness that I share that with you all, because I have loved doing the show. And as much as I have loved turning this space into a nursery, I also know that a little piece of me who was this podcast host is going to change in a drastic way. And I think when I come back and when I return, this show will not be the same. There's no way that it could, because I won't be the same. I will be a very different woman. And so I really don't want to leave y'all hanging. And so I have another surprise for you. While I am being a mommy and taking care of my babies, rather than this show just going completely off the cliff, not to be heard of and not to be seen again for 6 months or maybe a year, I am going to be leaving you in very capable hands. So you will have a brand new host of Open Late Podcast. Yes, that's right. Open Late Podcast is actually not going away. I'm just going to hibernate in these PJs with my breast pump and breastfeeding 2 babies at once, which that is a whole other thing. If y'all didn't know, I'm not carrying these babies, but I am lactating. And I'll do a little bonus episode on that if you're interested. You can check it out on how the miracle that is that I'm actually making milk right now. But the issue at hand, I am not going to tell you who the host is because I want to surprise you. And I'll give you a little hint. She has been a guest on the show. She is a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for nearly a decade. And she has her own experiences with love and with relationships. And she is currently dating. So I think that will be fun for you to have someone who is dating, who is not coupled. And the thing is, Non-monogamy is not her jam. She has a completely different spin, take, perspective on relationships, and she is going to share that with all of you weekly, as well as doing her own episodes. She is an experienced host, and she is hysterical, frankly. So I know that you're in good hands, and I am excited for this new chapter and this journey for all of the listeners to just have a different experience for a while. And I know that she will not disappoint. Now, this doesn't mean that you will never see me again. She and I are planning on doing a few collab episodes. I'm going to pop on at least every other month and give you an update on mommy life and twin life, and also non-monogamy life, because as I've mentioned here many times, Pasha and I do not plan on closing our relationship. Now, we know we will likely have very little time for anything but our two newest loves of our lives, but you never know. We both have previous partners that are still friends in our lives, that still, come in and out of our lives. And if something were to happen, I want y'all to be the first to know about it. So I will come on. I will do collab episodes. I will keep you updated on my life. I said live. I'll keep you updated on my life. She is going to keep up with asking for a friend. So please don't stop sending in your questions. They can still be about non-monogamy, and I'll pop on the show to answer those. And if you want to ask questions about what her expertise is, please do, because she is a world of knowledge and fun and excitement. And I know y'all just going to love her. So I'm excited for the audience to expand, because bringing in this topic brings all of you a broader look at relationships in general. So the WhatsApp chat will keep going, and I think that this community will only grow from our new, very special host. Oh my God, I can't wait for you all to find out who it is, but I'm not going to tell you yet, because I will be around for just 2 more episodes. And I want to tell you a little bit about what to expect for the next couple of weeks. So, Pasha has obliged us all, and he is going to do a final episode with me next week to sort of wrap up our lives and our experience as, being sort of public figures of non-monogamy together. So we are going to do that next week, and then the following week I will be introducing your brand new host of Open Late Podcast, at least for the interim while I am on maternity leave. And then I will sign off for a while. Yes, I'm so, so, so excited for this next chapter. You can still reach me. I will still be on Instagram at journey.with.jessica. And like I said, life is still going to life. I just want to really devote myself to this time in my life. And I'm so grateful for all of you, because my listeners, you guys are amazing. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you've become guests of the show. Some of my listeners have become really good, true friends just via Instagram DMs. You know who you are. And you have always supported me and been there for me as I have opened up about some really challenging times, some really taboo topics. And I know that you're supporting me in this decision, in this part of my journey. I could literally feel it as I'm recording it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your support. And thank you for understanding that this is such a major life shift for me. And I want to be as present as possible for it. This podcast, it really changed me. And I want you all to know that you've been a part of that, because the listener feedback has shaped what we've decided to put out weekly. And we've shifted many times based on what people wanted to hear, what you wanted to hear me say and share, and who you wanted to see on the show. So thank you. Thank you for helping me own my choices as a woman, and the way that I love publicly out there for people to hear about, to know about, to maybe take offense with. And just thank you for being there for all of that, because I've had to grow as a woman. Owning who I am, owning my sexuality, and owning my non-monogamy publicly has been one of the greatest gifts of my life. And it's really helped shape who I am and shape how I see the world. And more than anything, I feel complete. And this part of the journey, So I'm dipping into mommy land. And when I come back, I think I'll have something brand new, very exciting, and just even more me to share with all of you. So I love you very, very much. Stay tuned for what's next. And one last little note, I want to thank my team at home. I want to thank Allie, the producer of the show, Sue, our editor, and Sarah, the girl who does our social media. I could not do what I do without this team, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you soon.